Hi, I'm Michael.
I'm Helen.
And I'm Deanna.
And you're watching Word of Mouth. Thirteen is a musical about a boy named Evan who is moving from New York City to a very small town in Indiana, and he's really freaked out.
Evan is a 12-year-old boy growing up in New York City on the cusp of his 13th birthday, and his parents get divorced and he's forced to move to Appleton, Indiana, right before his very large, very planned bar mitzvah.
He meets his neighbor, Patrice, and they become friends for the last week before school. And then he heads into school and he finds that there's a cool crowd, and he decides that he needs to befriend them in order to have a really great bar mitzvah.
So he's trying to get all these cool kid friends, and but he already made friends that weren't so cool, and the cool kids don't accept them, and so it's really about him kind of finding his own way and really figuring out that it's not about being cool and popular, and it's about having really good friends.
I really felt for Evan, and I really wanted him to do well. I mean, I thought he was a jerk at times because he was hanging out with the popular group instead of with Patrice, who was his real friend, but I really liked him and I wanted him to do well.
I felt more for the girl whose name is Patrice, and she, I kind of felt sorry for her because she was like not the cool kid, and the kids made fun of her, so I kind of felt really sorry. I felt more for her than I really did for him.
The storyline was fine, I think, because I didn't necessarily connect with the main actor. I wasn't really necessarily compelled by his story. But it's easy to sort of get drawn into the wanting to fit in and wanting to really sort of be a part of a certain crowd in school, and I think anybody can relate to that.
One of the really interesting things that doesn't really happen in musicals a lot is that the entire band and the entire cast is all kids, no adults. So it's really great to see people my age on stage doing amazing things.
I felt like there were, some kids that made it seem very natural, and just kind of they just really fit into their role and made it, you didn't feel like they were acting. And then there were some kids that I felt like they were really kind of struggling in acting, and their movements were very jerky and they didn't flow very well.
I really thought that Graham Phillips, who plays Evan, carried the show, and I think that without him, the show wouldn't have been as great. I just thought that he was really relatable, and I could totally picture him as being somebody I would know and would probably, talk to and pal around with.
He wasn't probably my favorite. The entire story revolves around him, but I think the character was fine, but the actor, I would say, was not the strongest. He didn't have the greatest voice. He didn't really stand out to me. I feel like there were some sort of secondary characters that I liked much better than him.
Patrice is played by Allie Trim, and I thought she had an amazing voice. I thought she had a great voice, and I thought she was probably one of the best performances on the stage.
Her voice is so great, and you could just, when she was doing her different songs, and even when somebody else was singing, you could see she'd get these little looks on her face at, a line that they would sing, and she was great. I really thought she was wonderful.
The role of Lucy was played by Elizabeth Egan Gillis, and I thought she did a really good job. She was kind of the popular girl who was kind of snobby, and I thought she played that role really well, and she had a really good voice.
Malik Hammond and Al Calderon, who play Malcolm and Eddie in the show, are just these great sort of secondary characters that add a lot of comic relief. They are the ones who are the best friends, and so they have a lot of commentary. They get to look at a lot of things from the sidelines and comment on a lot of the action that's going on and sort of fuel a little bit of the high school drama.
Eric M. Nelson, who plays Brett, who's sort of the stupid jock who is after Kendra, was so funny, and whenever he was in a scene, your eye just went directly to him.
I did not like the music. I didn't really find any extremely catchy tunes, and I like to be able to go away from the musical wanting to run home and get on to iTunes and download the music. There wasn't really any songs that I particularly gravitated towards or really found compelling to me.
Jason Robert Brown wrote the music, and I'd already heard some of his music because I love The Last 5 Years, and I've heard some of Songs for a New World. The music was good. Sometimes he reached a little bit too far, and he kind of didn't stick with the Jason Robert Brown kind of music. But when he went back to kind of the simple, kind of, introspective kind of ballad, which is what he really is known for, it was just great.
There was a scene that takes place in a movie theater that's actually really funny. It's a sort of romantic song juxtaposed against this horror movie that they're watching, and so they're singing about both of those at the same time and trying to figure out what to do while also dealing with a 13-year-old fear of what they're watching. Songs like that, I think, are really fun.
I thought the dancing kind of reminded me the way Spring Awakening was choreographed. Very rock and roll and jumping around a lot. So it wasn't like real dancing. I didn't see a lot of real dance moves. Not saying it wasn't dancing. I thought it was, they were really good at it, but it was very different, and I actually liked it. I liked the dancing.
It was good. I mean, it was better than I expected. I was expecting kind of to be, a little bit High School Musical-ish, which isn't really my taste, and it was good. I really liked it.
13 was a really energetic musical that I would recommend to my friends that have kids and mothers that have kids that are 13 and kids that are around the age of 13. I think if people like the Disney shows that are for tweens, they would really like this musical.
It's not like my favorite show, but it's still good. It's good. I think that it appeals to a lot of different people. Kid-wise, so I think that I would recommend it.
I think this actually would be a great show, though, for, I could see, like, families who are visiting New York, so like parents and young teenagers. I think would really connect with this and really have a good time together.
For me, as a 31-year-old single gal, I didn't really relate to it that much, but I thought that I could recommend it to somebody that was 13 that would probably love it.